Hey guys, good morning. Welcome back to the channel. So today's video is an update on the ownership experience of our 2020 Mini Cooper SE Electric. This is a car that we bought just a couple days after the quarantine started, and this is sort of a follow-up review of the ownership experience. Having owned this car for over 2 months now, we're just shy of 3,000 miles on it, and so I wanted to kind of walk you through some of the ownership experience of the car, what we've found in owning it, some of the things that are that have jumped out at us about the car, and the good and the bad. Not everything is good about this car, although there's a lot more good about it than we initially realized when we purchased it. So anyway, one of the best parts of this car absolutely is the handling. I mean, this thing is downright ridiculous how well it handles. It's 50 degrees Fahrenheit out. I haven't even warmed up the tires, and just threw it around that roundabout there. This car is, I would say it is probably, from an EV standpoint, the best bang for the buck in handling. It's also the best bang for the buck in a number of other ways as well. Now, that's not hard to do, though, when you are essentially producing the most reasonably priced EV on the market. And as far as I know, this is the lowest priced EV in America right now, because I believe the Smart Electric Drive isn't currently sold in the States. And this car in its base trim, when you calculate the $7,500 tax credit in, is well, geez, 30,000 minus 7,500, so in the low 20,000s, $22,000, $23,000. This car, we have the Signature Plus, which is the middle trim, and this car was $33,900. It comes with full glass, well, sort of full glass roof, opening sunroof in the front, and just stationary glass panel at the rear. It also has Harman Kardon stereo, which is absolutely fantastic. Comes with nicer wheels. There's a handful of options that the Signature Plus trim has that the base model doesn't. This two-tone upholstery, which is quite nice. It's a tweed fabric with a vinyl, a faux leather trimming along the sides, and we chose this car for a lot of reasons, but not the least of which was when we ordered it, the lockdown had occurred short. We went online, put our $500 deposit down as intent to order a car, and we were told probably mid-June, but then we got contacted by our dealer just, my gosh, a few days after we ordered it, maybe a week or so after we ordered it. Hey, do you guys want a car right away? So there was a barge that had delivered a bunch of cars to New York Harbor, and we weren't given the exact story if somebody walked away from this car or not, but I believe that is probably the likely scenario. So we took delivery of our car. It was the first car in the state of Illinois, the first car in the Midwest, I believe, and one of the first, just handful, delivered to the States. We are still one of only a couple of these things that are out there that have been used and that we're posting anything about online. So I've already done an initial walk around video of this car when we first took delivery of it, so I don't want to go through all of that again, but I'll give you just a brief overview of what we love about the car. First off, my 2018 long-range rear-wheel drive Tesla Model 3 is the car that I typically drive daily. I do in-home appliance repair, and that is my daily driver. This car was purchased as just a fun car for my wife and I. My accountant told us that we needed some deductions. This is not a deduction, but it's a tax credit. It is also a deduction, But so we get the $7,500 tax credit plus a deduction for the miles driven while shooting videos or doing anything else business related. So that was part of the reason we acquired it. We wanted another fun car for the family. Also, my son just got his license, and we have the little smart electric drive for him, although that car is only good for about 70 miles of range in the summer. And we thought, well, just in case that car doesn't have enough range or whatever, we wanted something else that he could drive. And since then, however, we've sold my wife's Ford Fusion all-wheel drive, which is a car we loved, but it had over 80,000 miles on it. Actually, just shy of 90,000, I believe, when we got rid of it. 89,000, or it might have actually tripped 90,000. But we sold that car to a gentleman that was looking specifically for that car, an all-wheel drive car, preferably in blue, which was the color her car was. So we decided to let it go. And now this car has become my wife's daily driver. So she drives it during the day, and then after work, when I'm just sort of all driven out of being in my my Model 3, I will then use this car for errands, shooting videos, and the like. And so it has been just a joy owning this car. Now there's a number of things that jumped out at us that we noticed. I apologize for any glare that might be coming through the windshield here. But when I did the initial review of this car, was right after we bought it, and I have to admit, we took delivery of the car. The lockdown happened a couple days previous, and I was pretty stressed out. From a financial standpoint, we could afford the car. It wasn't a big deal. We could have paid cash for it had we really wanted to. But it was, I wasn't sure what was going to happen with my business. So the walk-around video of this car was a little stiff. I was nervous. I was scared. I had actually lost 5 pounds over about 4 days, just stressed out from the lockdown and what was going to happen business-wise. So we were a little bit worried, was it a wise choice buying the car? We didn't want to walk away from our deposit. So a lot of things were happening then. I had only driven it a few miles before doing the initial video. And so now we've owned it for a while. And I have to tell you, my impression of this car has, the positives of this car have only grown on me more and more over time. Now, though I love my Tesla Model 3, it is a beautiful car. I'm not a huge fan of a basic dashboard. The Model 3 has the floating center screen, which I love in some ways. I love the fact that there's so much tech there. I didn't like its position. That's why I made that adjustable screen mount kit to position the screen where I wanted. But the flat dash, I didn't like the wood. That's why I got the carbon dash for it. And I don't know, I love the clean interior of the Model 3, but I also do like a stylized dash. This car is, if you like a stylized dashboard, this car is absolutely gorgeous. It's gorgeous. I mean, the main display, the gauge binnacle, the screen here, it's just the map is very clear. And we only have the narrow screen. We have the 6-inch screen. There's also an 8-inch screen that comes in the iconic top trim, but the narrower screen is fine for us. And so pretty much everything about this car, really, it ticks all the boxes for me. All of the switch gear is metal. It has a sort of a heavy clunk to it when you click any of the selections, any of the sport mode button, traction control, and all of those. It's just got a nice positive feel. The Bmw Idrive that's been adapted for the Mini is very nice to use. We're used to it in our other car, our BMW that we own. All of that stuff I like about this car, and I knew I would like it. My wife and I also like small cars, and our BMW is a 2 Series BMW. We also had, before the BMW, our weekend fun car was a 2017 Honda Civic Si, 2-door, great car, stick shift, fun car. So owning this car, for one thing, my wife has absolutely fallen in love with this car, and she has basically taken ownership of it. When we bought this car, it was never supposed to be her car. It was our car, same as our BMW. It was just a fun car that we could both have. Admittedly, I had a hidden agenda there to get her into an EV, and this was a way to do it. She loves Mini Coopers, but especially since we have sold her car, she's forced to drive this car every day, and she is absolutely in love with it. In love with it. So she refers to it as her car. She'll say, "Oh, could you go plug my car in?" You know, it just, she's in love with this thing, which is great. And this is probably just going to become her car. We haven't really decided on that for sure as of yet. But some of the things that have been confirmed for me about this car and exceeded since we've owned it for 3,000 miles. Number one, first and foremost, is the range. This car is rated at 110 miles EPA range, and but we found that is even driving it a little on the aggressive side, much more like 125 miles. My wife is a pretty cautious driver, and if I'm not flooring it everywhere, it's more like 140 mile range. So the range is fine, and I know this is the shortest range new EV on the market today, but it's totally fine for us. We don't plan on driving state to state with it. You could do it. It's got a CCS charge port, so you could drive state to state in this car, but we're not going to be doing that probably ever with it. So it's all for local driving, and I don't think my wife has ever put more than 45 miles on this thing in a day. So we really only need to charge it every couple days. We'll typically charge it up to 80 or 90%. She'll drive it for that day. I might remember to plug it in, I might not when I get home from work. But the following day she'll run errands, and then she'll plug it in when she notices that the charge is down near 30% or so. And so it has proven to be more than enough range for us. Second thing that has exceeded our expectations is the performance. I already mentioned the cornering, but the acceleration on this car. I did another video with V-Box testing, but the initial plans by Mini was that this car would do 0 to 60 in 7.1 or 7.2 seconds. Well, then once it was marketed, it was, here in the States at least, it was, the final rating was 6.9 seconds to 60. Oh, the turning radius also is awesome on this car. It's so small. But when I did my V-Box testing, the 6.9 is what I was kind of expecting, except for the fact that it felt faster than that. But it's actually 6.3 seconds to 60. So this is a far faster car than Mini markets. Another thing that is been very pleasing about this car is something I mentioned in the first video, but it has really grown on me, and that's just the overall quality. Minis are reasonably priced cars, but they are in that premium segment. They're owned by BMW, and BMW, though a little on the expensive side to purchase and maintain, BMW products are definitely premium products. And this car definitely shows that BMW lineage. Some of the other things is the practicality. Right now, the back seats are folded down. There's some towels back there, and those we fold the seats up when we need to use the back seat. And I think there were 4 times now since we've owned it that we needed the back seat, and so we folded it up. There's plenty of room back there. That's another thing. I'm 5'10", and I fit just fine back there. I mean, wonderfully. And there is still some cargo space behind the seats. Not a huge amount, but more than enough for groceries and just your general errands, stuff you'll pick up, even with the seats folded. But you've got the 60/40 back seat, so if you had more items or a larger item, you could always just have a single person in the back seat, seat 3 people, and have one seat folded down for larger area. And this car has proven to be very practical. We do pretty much all of our hauling in this car. I've hauled bags of gravel, a big dryer drum, many bags of salt. Actually, the dryer drum and 8 25-pound bags of salt in the back of this car all at the same time. When we go for large amount of groceries and that, my wife has picked up potting soil and plants and you name it. I mean, we haul stuff in this car, and that has been wonderful. So pretty much everything about this car has exceeded our expectations. Now, are there any negatives? There are a couple. One other thing that I'll mention as a positive is the hand-cooked tires. Now, granted, you can add whatever tires to a car that you might want, so that's not really a deal make or break for us. In fact, our BMW has eco tires on it for some dumb reason. It's a performance car, so that thing just doesn't stick the way it should, so I'm going to be getting performance tires for it. And it is a little annoying that a performance car has eco tires, but an eco car has performance tires. The hand-cooked tires on this car are just incredible how well they stick. So now the negatives, I struggle to find any, but there are a couple. One negative is the shade. Though I love these shades, and I pointed it out in my review video, I love the mesh. I like the fact that when you open the sunroof, you can still have some airflow through it. But I would prefer a total blackout shade, because if the sun is directly beating down on me, there's a tiny bit of tint to the sunroof glass, but not enough for my taste. So I close this and I'll still get some glare through the mesh. I wish that was just a blocked off shade. So that's one thing. This side shade is awesome, but there is not one on the passenger side. There's just a grab handle. I wish that there was a separate shade like this on the passenger side. A couple other things. The Iconic trim car comes with a small heads-up display, a flip-up plastic panel, and I would love to have that on this car. That would be a nice standalone option, but you can only get that in the Iconic trim, which admittedly is a little on the expensive side. The Iconic trim pushes this car right up near $40,000. Another thing is that the gas minis, you can push on this panel and it opens with a soft opening, and there is a second glove box there to add to the normal glove box beneath. That's kind of annoying. When we got this car, a friend of mine's like, oh yeah, you'll get this extra glove box, it's awesome. So it doesn't come with that. And I know these are little things that I've been pointing out, but they are worth pointing out. I would say that probably the only other negative to this car is something that I already pointed out as a positive. Like I pointed out that the range has exceeded our expectations because we were expecting 110 miles. I would love more range, but let me be clear on this. Let me be very, very clear on this. It's not a complaint as much as it is a thought or an idea or maybe a suggestion. And that is that it would be nice to have more range. However, for the intended purpose of this car, for the price range and for the performance, the driving range is totally fine. I would love more range, but two things need to be present in order for me to be willing to accept more range in this car. Number one, the price must remain the, well, three things actually. Three things. Number one, the price has to remain the same in order for more range to be acceptable. Number two, the weight of the car cannot increase. This car is already 200 and some, I believe, just shy of 300 pounds heavier than the gas version Mini Cooper S. Now, the weight distribution, the center of gravity is 1.5 inches lower than the Mini Cooper gas Mini Cooper S, and it's got a perfect 50-50 weight distribution, which is better than the gas Mini Cooper S, and it's faster than the Mini Cooper S gas version. However, it is a little bit heavier. And so now that weight does make this car more planted, but it is heavier, and I would like, I don't want to add more weight to it. So number one, the price would have to remain the same. Number two, the weight would have to remain the same or not increase at all. Number three, I wouldn't want to have a larger battery pack impinge on the cabin space. So if Mini could offer the car for the same price, the same weight, and the same amount of cabin space, but with more range, I would do it. I would do it. So I would like that. But again, the range has never been a concern, never been an issue for us in this car, but more range is always acceptable. In the same way, more horsepower, if the gas mileage and price of the car and reliability stays the same, people with gas cars would always like more horsepower. With EVs, it's typically more range. So that would be nice. You know, aside from that, this car, it is absolutely fantastic. It is, I'm going to, this was pointed out by at least one, I think 2 other reviewers had made the statement, and I'm going to echo this, that this is borderline the perfect EV. And just when you look at all of the categories, Mini really hit the ball out of the park. And again, a lot of people will complain about range, and I already mentioned that I would enjoy more range, but I don't need it, but I would enjoy it. But I've realized that really you don't need more range. Admittedly, our smart electric drive at 70 miles of range, 64 rated, but 70 real world miles of range is too short. It's fine for errands and for our son, that's what we got it for, but wouldn't want to live with that as an everyday car. This car I could live with as an everyday car, and my wife is. The performance is better than it needs to be. The interior space is really better than it needs to be. They've done a very, very good job with every square inch of space in this car. The range is better than it needs to be. The quality is better than it needs to be. The looks, really, I know looks are subjective, and some people hate the look of this car. We absolutely love it. So the looks are fantastic. The sunroof is awesome. The overall, the way everything functions, the window operation, just the overall quality of the feel of the doors and the seats and everything in this car is fantastic, and the price is very reasonable. This car was $33,900, and I really believe that it's probably $37,000 worth of car, somewhere in that range. $40,000 will be pushing it, but it's probably a $37,000 or $38,000 worth of car, just in my experience in the cars I've owned and driven. So I believe that Mini got the price right for this car. And they did that because it's a parts bin car. It has a drive unit out of a Bmw i3S, and I think it's wise that they use the S drivetrain because it's more powerful. Mini being a somewhat of it's a premium brand, but also a modest performance brand. I think it was wise for them to use the i3S drive system, but that allowed Mini to keep the price reasonable without having to develop a proprietary drive system. So anyway, that's been my 3,000 mile review. We've had this car for, what is it, 2.5 months now, I believe, and really can't say enough good about this car. We love it. I know that my channel is primarily devoted to my Tesla Model 3, but we are an EV household. The only gas car we have is our BMW, and that's really only because it's a convertible. You can't get a premium EV convertible these days other than another smart electric drive convertible or a Gen 1 Tesla Roadster, which is a Targa top, not really a convertible, and too expensive, too impractical, too unreliable. So so that's why we have our BMW. Other than that, we're an all EV family, 3 EVs, and this is probably our favorite car in the family. Our son loves to drive it, my wife loves to drive it, I love to drive it. We kind of argue over it, who gets to drive the Mini. No, I was going to drive the Mini. No, I was just going to leave for errands and take the Mini. You know, this is kind of a thing for us. So anyway, those are my thoughts. I want to thank you guys for tuning in and for putting up with all of my shenanigans. And I am admittedly a very talkative person, and this channel is a lot more talking oftentimes than it is technical content, but it's a creative outlet for me, and I wanted to give you guys a good explanation of our EV life as we have it. So anyway, thanks for tuning in, guys. I appreciate you all. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments section below. I'm doing a video also about unbagging all of the things that they give you with the car in the trunk, so that's coming up soon. If you have any questions on the car, let me know. So anyway, thanks, guys. As always, stay charged. Bye-bye now.